I've been a park ranger for over 10 years. A few months ago, I decided to explore a part of the rainforest no one talked about much, the area with the legends. I thought it'd be fun, but I never imagined the things I would face there. One evening, while documenting wildlife, I stumbled upon an old cedar tree. There were symbols carved into its trunk. I stepped closer, trying to make sense of them. My skin tingled as I traced the carvings with my fingers. They felt wrong, almost alive. I shook it off as a prank and continued my work, but the feeling stuck with me. The next few days left me on edge. I began to hear echoes while I worked, laughter floating through the trees. I figured it was just the wind, but it didn't sit right. I also saw shadows dart between the trunks, always just out of my line of sight. Each day, I felt more watched than the last. The forest seemed to breathe around me, twisting my stomach into knots. I told a few colleagues about it, but they laughed. "You're just tired," one said. I felt foolish. The only strange things I noticed were the ducks. They kept hiding or crying out as if they sensed something I didn't. Hikers mentioned feeling uneasy too, but they hadn't seen the symbols. I felt alone in my fear. One evening, I was drawn back to the cedar tree. I needed answers. As I walked through the damp underbrush, shadows danced around me. The air felt thick and it was eerily quiet. My heart raced as I neared the tree. The carvings leapt out in the fading light. Suddenly, the laughter returned, closer and louder this time. I froze. My legs felt heavy. I glanced around but could only see dim silhouettes. I whispered, "Hello?" But silence swallowed my words. I took a small step back, unbearably aware of how alone I was. Then I saw it, a flicker of movement behind a nearby tree. My breath caught. I wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't listen. The laughter faded into the background, leaving an unsettling calm. I whispered again, "Hello?" But still nothing answered. Just then, the shadows shifted again. My instinct screamed at me to leave. I turned to go, but that cold laughter rippled through the air, wrapping around me. I stumbled away from the tree, heart pounding. I fought the urge to look back, but I couldn't help it. I suddenly asked myself, what were those carvings? Why did they fill me with dread? I rushed down the trail, stumbling over roots and rocks. I finally broke free from the thick forest. Once I reached the ranger station, I felt a tiny bit safe, but I couldn't shake that laughter from my mind. I often wonder what I really encountered out there. The shadows, the symbols, and that laugh still haunt me. I'm scared to go back, but something tells me it's waiting. The following day, I tried to push it all out of my mind. I had work to do. A new group of hikers was scheduled. I focused on the tasks at hand, but my thoughts constantly drifted back to the cedar tree. Those symbols were ingrained in my mind. It felt like they were calling out to me, whispering secrets I didn't want to hear. As I prepared for the day, I decided to check the trail conditions. As I drove down the bumpy path, the forest closed in around me, and I felt a familiar unease. The sunlight barely penetrated the thick canopy. I kept glancing at the trees, half expecting to see those shadows again, but nothing moved. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Once at the trailhead, I greeted the hikers with a forced smile. They looked eager, unaware of the darkness that lay beyond the entrance of the woods. I found myself steering them away from the area where I'd seen the tree, even though I didn't mention why. There was something suffocating about the legend surrounding that place. I didn't want to let fear spread to the others. I tried to divert my attention, guiding the group on a safer route. As we trekked deeper into the forest, I kept hearing that distant laughter, but this time it seemed to echo from different directions. The hikers laughed and chatted, but my heart raced. I was hyper-aware of the trees, the deep shadows that twisted between them, and the silence that blanketed the air. I stumbled over branches, my nerves on edge. Then, just as we reached a clearing, my breath caught. Another symbol,
bigger this time, etched into a rock. It was the same shape as the carvings on the cedar. The hikers didn't seem to notice. They were looking at the view, admiring the beauty of the forest. I hesitated, my skin crawling. Was this another prank or something worse? "Look at this," someone called, snapping me out of it. I turned, but the urge to study the symbol tugged at me. I could feel its power even from 10 feet away. I debated going closer, but the laughter returned, ringing through the air with malevolence, and I couldn't fight the urge to flee. I joined the group, forcing myself to engage, but my mind raced. Were these places connected? I had to find out. After the hike, I planned to return. I needed answers, despite the dread. But then I noticed one of the hikers lingering behind. They were staring at me, a strange look in their eyes. "Are you all right?" they asked, their voice barely a whisper. "I'm fine," I replied, too quickly. They frowned. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a smile, but unease twisted inside me. That night, I lay in bed, the events replaying in my head. I felt the forest's pull again, that eerie call. Rest was impossible. I gave in to curiosity, grabbing my gear. It was too much to bear. I had to find out more. As I stepped outside, the air felt colder. I glanced back at the ranger station, but it felt distant now. I walked toward the forest, past the fading light, and again questioned what awaited me. Was I truly ready to face whatever was lurking in the shadows? I stepped into the shadows, the trees towering over me like silent sentinels. The chill wrapped around my shoulders. I clutched my flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness ahead. Every sound seemed amplified, the crunch of leaves, the rustle of branches. It amplified the pounding of my heart, which felt like it was trying to break free from my chest. The memories of the symbols haunted me. I kept thinking about them as I walked deeper into the woods. What did they mean? Who had made them? I couldn't shake the feeling that they held some dark significance. I had to see the rock again. I needed to know more. As I reached the clearing, my skin prickled. The moonlight turned the area into a ghostly arena. I approached the stone. There it was, the symbol glowing faintly in the moonlight. I crouched closer, tracing its edges with my fingers. I expected something, anything, to happen, but nothing did. When I stood up, I sensed an unsettling shift in the air. The laughter, the distant laughter, had returned, but this time it was closer, echoed by unseen voices. I spun around, scanning the darkness, but there was no one, just the trees looming and silent. My breath quickened, and I stepped back, unsure if I should run or stay. That was when I noticed something on the ground, a set of footprints. They were small, leading away from the rock and deeper into the woods. My gut twisted. Were they human or something else? I knew I should turn back, but my legs moved of their own accord, following the trail. Curiosity pushed me forward, even as dread lingered behind me. The footprints led me off the beaten path, into dense underbrush. Twigs snapped underfoot, and I ducked beneath low-hanging branches. The laughter grew louder. It was no longer a distant echo. It seemed to wrap around me, taunting me. Suddenly, the laughter stopped, and so did I. The silence that followed felt heavy, oppressive. I reached for my flashlight, but the beam flickered and died. Panic surged through me. I fumbled in the dark, my heart racing. Should I call out to anyone? Should I keep moving? Then a figure emerged from the shadows. It was just a silhouette at first, but I could see the outline of a face, or perhaps it was something else entirely. My breath caught in my throat. Whoever, or whatever, stood before me didn't move. "Who are you?" I whispered, dread swimming in my stomach. The figure stepped closer, and I felt the air shift. I couldn't see their expression, but the weight of their gaze pressed down on me. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the figure spoke, and I barely caught the words. "You shouldn't be here." That simple phrase sent chills down my spine. I took a step back, my instincts screaming at me to run. Suddenly, a branch snapped behind me, and I turned, expecting to find more shadows creeping closer. But there was nothing there, just silence. My heart raced, pounding in my ears. I felt the forest closing in around me. I had ventured too far. I needed to escape. When I turned again, the figure had vanished. I stumbled back the way I'd come, desperate to put distance between myself and whatever presence had just confronted me. That's when I saw the symbol again, illuminated by the moonlight. But now it seemed to pulse with some bizarre energy. I froze. What did it want from me? And who was I really chasing in this haunting darkness? Before I could think, I turned and ran, the laughter echoing behind me. I broke through the trees, clinging to the hope that I would find my way back to the safety of the ranger station. But a new unease crept in. What if that was only the beginning? The frantic pounding of my footsteps echoed through the underbrush as I raced back, branches clawing at my clothes. The laughter followed me, a chilling reminder that I wasn't alone. I could hardly focus on the path ahead. I just needed to get back. I fought against the branches that reached out like fingers, grasping at my shirt. After what felt like an eternity, I finally broke through to the more open area of the trail. The moon hung high, a silvery beacon cutting through the darkness, but now it felt like a spotlight illuminating my panic. I took a moment to catch my breath, trying to shake off the unease that clung to my skin. Then I heard it again, a faint whisper, maybe a word, but it felt like a command. My heart dropped. "You shouldn't be here." The voice from the figure. It echoed in my mind, and fear threatened to pull me under. I knew I should head back to the ranger station, but something tugged at me. The need to know what was happening behind the whisper. Was this a warning meant to keep me away, or an invitation to uncover secrets? I took a shaky breath and decided to face my fears. I couldn't let the darkness win. I had to understand. I turned and headed back toward the clearing. The woods felt different in the moonlight. Every shadow seemed to move, shifting as I walked. I reached the symbol again, heart racing. It still pulsed with that strange energy. I bent down and touched it, feeling a warm tingle spread through my fingertips. Suddenly, a loud rustling came from behind me. My heart dropped again, but I didn't turn to look. Instead, I focused on the stone, trying to decipher what was happening. Then I heard voices, not laughter this time, but hushed murmurs. My gut twisted as I stood up, feeling their eyes on me. I took a step back, glancing behind me and finally spotting them, shadows flitting between the trees. They moved with a strange grace, as if dancing to a tune only they could hear. Who? My voice trailed off, evaporating in the tense atmosphere. My instincts screamed at me, urging me to escape again, but I was frozen, caught between the urge to flee and the curiosity that held me captive. The figure stepped closer. I could finally see them. A group of children, maybe? Their faces were obscured by shadow, but they wore what looked like paper masks, each one crafted in the shape of different animals. Who? My voice trailed off, evaporating in the tense atmosphere. My instincts screamed at me, urging me to escape again, but I was frozen, caught between the urge to flee and the curiosity that held me captive. The figure stepped closer. I could finally see them. A group of children, maybe? Their faces were obscured by shadow, but they wore what looked like paper masks, each one crafted in the shape of different animals. The fear that clenched my heart morphed into confusion. What were they doing out here? "You shouldn't be here," one of them said in a sing-song voice, mimicking the earlier figure. "You might get lost." Before I could respond, they turned and darted away, vanishing into the darkness. The hair on the back of my neck prickled. I wanted to follow them, to understand what they were doing, but something stopped me. I realized I might be stepping further into something I couldn't comprehend. Then I noticed it. After the children disappeared, one of the animal masks lay discarded on the forest floor, illuminated by the moonlight. I bent down to pick it up, curiosity overshadowing my sense of danger. This was a clue. But as I lifted it, a sound stopped me dead in my tracks. A low growl, rising from the depths of the woods, rumbling like thunder. I spun around, adrenaline shooting through me. I wasn't alone anymore. The shadows weren't just watching, they were ready to unleash something far worse than I had imagined. "We have to run," a voice whispered in the wind, chilling me to the bone. And just like that, I knew I was no longer just being drawn into the mystery. I was a part of it now. I took off running, fueled by instinct. My legs hurried over the uneven ground, heart thudding in my chest. The forest closed in around me, branches twisting like angry fingers trying to hold me back. I didn't dare look back. The growl still echoed in my mind, deep and menacing. The air felt thick, pressing down on me as I charged through the underbrush. I could hear the rustling sounds behind me, a constant reminder that something was hunting me. I thought of the children in their masks. Were they leading me into a trap? Did they know what lurked in the shadows? Just as I reached the clearing where I had first spotted the symbol, my foot caught on a root. I stumbled forward, hitting the ground hard. Pain shot through my palms, but I pushed myself up quickly, scanning the area. There was no time to waste. That's
when I saw it, a flash of movement near the edge of the trees. It was one of the masked figures, peeking at me with wide eyes from behind a trunk. I felt a mix of terror and curiosity. They seemed so small, so innocent, yet they were part of this. I called out, "Wait, please!" But my voice broke the silence, and they vanished into the night, swallowed by the forest. I stood there, panting, my breath a cloud in the cold air. I had to keep moving. As I turned to leave the clearing, I heard a different sound, softer this time, a whispering wind darting through the trees. My heart raced again, not just from fear, but from an inexplicable urge to stay. The whisper twisted around me, pulling me back to the symbol. I approached it cautiously, fighting against the growing sense of dread. The stone seemed to shimmer slightly, almost inviting me. I felt warmth radiating from it, a strange comfort in this madness. I knelt again, tracing my fingers over the intricate designs. Something was off, but I couldn't figure it out. Then I noticed something new. On the ground near the stone, faint impressions marked the earth, almost like footprints, but too faded. They spiraled outward, weaving a strange pattern I couldn't understand. That's when the growl returned, closer now, sharper. My heart raced as I looked up. No longer was I just aware of the presence of shadows. A larger, darker figure emerged from them, creeping into the moonlight. It was massive, and I could see eyes gleaming with hunger. "Run!" I screamed at myself as I sprang to my feet. I bolted back toward the trail, not daring to stop and look. The sound of heavy footsteps thundered behind me, the growls escalating, turning into a frenzied roar. I had to put distance between us. Just as I felt the heat of whatever hunted me at my heels, I spotted a small path leading deeper into the woods. I took it without a second thought. It twisted away from the main trail, a narrow passage through the trees. The way was fraught with obstacles, branches snapping underfoot. I fought through the sharp, biting chill of the wind that seemed to tug at my clothes, urging me to turn back. The creature roared again, a sound filled with rage that reverberated through the air. But I kept running, pushing forward. I could not let it catch me. I had to find a way out, and fast. Just when I thought I was gaining ground, I stumbled into a clearing unlike the others. At the center was a large old stone altar, surrounded by more of those animal masks, all lined up neatly as if waiting for something.
The air crackled with energy, a pulsing sensation similar to what I felt earlier. My pulse quickened at this new discovery, a flicker of hope and a new wave of danger. I paused, breathing heavily as I scanned the room.
Darkness. Something told me I was about to either uncover the truth or seal my fate. In that moment, I wasn't sure which I desired more. The wind howled through the clearing, chilling me to the bone. I stepped cautiously toward the altar, my breath coming in quick gasps. The masks stared back at me. Their hollow eyes seemed to bore into my soul, as if they could see everything I had ever done. I hesitated, my mind racing. Was this where the children had been? Were they part of whatever twisted ritual was suggested by this altar? I took a step closer, adrenaline coursing through me. Was it safe to touch anything here? Suddenly, the growl erupted again, louder and more menacing. I felt it resonate in my chest, a warning I couldn't ignore. My feet felt rooted to the ground, dread creeping in. If I stayed here, I might not escape at all. I searched the altar for something, anything that could help me understand what was happening. My fingers brushed over rough stone, and then I noticed something carved into the surface, just beneath the masks. A symbol, similar to the one I'd seen in the other clearing. I leaned in closer, my heart racing. It looked like a circle with lines radiating out from it. Before I could process it further, a flash of movement caught my eye in the trees. The children emerged slowly, their masks gleaming in the moonlight. They moved in a line, gliding rather than walking, their heads tilted as though they were listening to something only they could hear. I opened my mouth to call out, but the words died on my lips. What were they doing? Were they here to help me or lead me to my doom? I felt a sick twist of fear in my stomach. One of the children held up a finger to their lips, shushing me. I shook my head. "Please, you have to help me," I pleaded, desperation creeping in. But they just continued to move, encircling the altar, their feet barely touching the ground. I turned back to the altar, searching for answers. The marks beneath the symbol began to glow, faintly at first, then brighter. A warm light pulsed from the stone, sending waves of energy through the air. I felt drawn to it, a force beckoning me closer as the children danced around the altar, their movements hypnotic. But as I stepped nearer, the creature's growl grew louder still, a sound filled with an almost primal rage. I could no longer ignore it. Something was wrong. I could sense the danger escalating. I turned to run again when I tripped over a bundle of leaves. My hands flew out to catch myself, but I fell into the damp earth instead, losing sight of everything. That's when a chilling howl sliced through the air, echoing through the trees and sending tremors down my spine. I scrambled to my feet and glanced back. The creature was almost on me, its eyes like two burning coals in the night. Time froze for a brief moment as I realized I was out of time. I dashed toward the trees and felt the adrenaline kicking in hard. The forest was thick, but I dared not dwell on it. I had to find a way out. I looked back once more. The children still circled the altar, their dance turning into something more sinister. Then everything went dark as a cloud swept over the moon. In that instant, I lost sight of the altar and the children. I could only hear a low, echoing song drifting through the air, pulling me in, inviting me to stay just a little longer. I had to choose, stand and face the truth or run blindly into the darkness again. I had no idea which path would lead to safety, but I felt the weight of this decision. And in that moment of uncertainty, I could sense the creature closing in. I bolted into the trees, each branch snapping like a warning behind me. My heart raced and my breath came in ragged gasps. I had to put distance between myself and the creature hunting me. But the forest was a confused maze with shadows and sounds distorting reality. I could hear the growling,
low and rumbling, growing nearer. I stumbled over roots and rocks, desperate to find a way out of this nightmare. A sense of panic bubbled up inside me. I had no flashlight, and without the moonlight, I could barely see where I was going. But I couldn't stop to think. I had to keep moving. Then I remembered something. The symbol on the altar. What did it mean? Could it be the key to understanding what was happening? I had to find it again. My instincts told me the symbol was more than just a carved design. It was something powerful. I pressed on, trying to retrace my steps as the growl intensified behind me. Suddenly, I heard a soft rustle, and for a moment, my breath caught. Something was in the bushes. I turned, panic spreading through my veins. But there was nothing there, just the shadows shifting in the moonlight. A branch cracked loudly, and I whipped around, heart pounding. And then I saw it, a flicker of movement through the trees. It was the children again, but this time they weren't dancing. They were standing still, facing me. I felt a dramatic surge of dread. "Help!" I called, even though I knew how futile it might be. Would they help me or pull me into whatever darkness they were part of? But I took a step towards them, my voice trembling. "What do you want from me?" They didn't reply. They just watched, their heads tilted to one side, as if weighing their options. The growl echoed once more, louder than before, a warning tremor in the air. Then something within me snapped. I needed to escape. I turned
and raced back into the forest, trying to remember the way to the altar. As I ran, the energy from the symbol bubbled up in my mind. It felt familiar, like a riddle I had yet to solve. Could it summon help, or would it only bring the creature closer? The low song returned, wrapping around me like a thick fog. I forced myself to focus. I needed to remain grounded. I tripped again, tumbling into a thicket of brambles, sharp thorns tearing at my skin. Ignoring the pain, I pushed forward, crawled, and pulled myself up again. Each second felt like an eternity. But when I glanced back towards the clearing, I saw it, an otherworldly glow breaking through the darkness. It pulsed and sparkled like stars had fallen from the sky, circling the altar again. The children stepped closer together, their masks gleaming with an unholy light. That's when I saw it, a figure towering behind them. The creature had emerged into the clearing, framed by the glow, and its eyes burned bright with hunger. A cold rush of terror gripped me. I was right back where I started, and this time there was no turning back. I had to make a choice. The altar held answers I desperately sought. What if the symbols could protect me from the creature? But if I stepped into that light, who knows what would happen? I stood there, frozen. The creature's eyes blazed like embers, and every instinct screamed at me to run. But I was trapped, a bait dangling at the altar's edge. The children shifted, their heads still cocked, eyes growing darker in the light. They were waiting, and I didn't know for what. It was then I remembered the symbols on the altar. They were strange, etched deep into the stone. Maybe that glow wasn't just a beacon for the monster. Perhaps it was a pathway or an escape. My mind raced. Did I dare step into that light? But as I hesitated, the creature took a step forward, its growl vibrating through the air. It was a low rumble that felt like the earth itself was growling. "You need to decide," I mumbled to myself, steeling my resolve. If I had any chance of surviving, I had to figure out the symbol's power. I felt the ground beneath me shift. The pulsing light drew nearer. I quickly glanced back at the children, their masks reflecting the glow. They were eerily still, like puppets waiting for a master's command. What if they were part of the creature's plan, luring me into a trap? Before I could think any further, I rushed toward the altar. I could feel the heat of the creature behind me, its presence pressing like a weight on my back. I reached the altar and dropped to my knees, brushing dirt away to reveal the symbols. My fingers traced the engravings, feeling the faint warmth beneath them. What did they mean? Suddenly, a voice whispered in my "Claim your power." It was soft and smooth, as if the forest itself spoke through woven leaves. A jolt ran through me, and I pressed my palm onto the cold stone, feeling the energy surge. In that moment, as I concentrated, the glow intensified. It filled the area around me, pushing back the dark. The children flinched, stepping into the shadows as the light illuminated the clearing. But was this light helping me, or was I just making myself more visible to the creature? The growl shifted into a roar, vibrating the very air. The creature lunged, its sharp claws slashing through the light like a vengeful storm. It was coming for me. Panic surged again. I forced myself to focus on the symbols, calling on whatever strength they had to offer. Then, everything went dark. The light flickered and ceased, swallowed by the consuming shadows. The whispers in the trees grew louder, turning into chaotic chants. I was plunged into a night of confusion and fear. A hand brushed my shoulder, cold as ice. I whipped around, but there was only darkness. "Help me!" I shouted, but my voice was swallowed by the void. I couldn't stand still. I needed to find that light again if there was any hope. And then I realized I wasn't alone. Something moved in the darkness, and this time it wasn't the creature. A pulse of dread coursed through me. I had unwittingly called something else forth. The forest was alive with an unlistenable hum, and I wasn't sure if it was friend or foe. In the next breath, I was no longer at the altar. The world turned in on itself, and everything I thought I knew began to unravel. My next choice was coming, and I wasn't ready for what or who was watching from the shadows. I stumbled backward, my heart racing in rhythm with the darkness closing in. The whispers escalated, a cacophony of voices weaving through the air like a thick fog. I couldn't no longer feel the altar beneath my hands. I was adrift in a void, surrounded by shadows. Panic twisted in my gut, and I forced myself to breathe. Then, a flicker caught my eye, a flicker of light. It was at the edge of the darkness, pulsing, almost like a heartbeat. I moved toward it, craving a connection to something familiar. It grew brighter as I approached, revealing a figure standing just beyond the glow. My breath caught. "Who are you?" I shouted, but the figure remained silent. The dim light revealed a familiar face, one of the children from the clearing, her mask now off. The eyes that looked back at me were wide and pleading, not the soulless orbs from moments before. "Help him," she mouthed, her lips barely moving. I darted a glance to either side, searching for whatever danger she was signaling. The deep growl returned, rumbling through the air, even louder, mingling with the haunting chants. Suddenly, I realized why the children had been so still. They weren't waiting to pounce. They were ensnared. "Wait!" I cried, but she was already fading back into the darkness. The glow waned, leaving me shrouded in shadows once more. I cursed under my breath, my skin crawling in the stillness. I had no idea what was happening, but she had given me a clue. Help him. But who needed help? I spun back towards the flickering light. My mind raced. Was it possible that the light connected to the power of the symbols? Maybe it could lead me back to safety, or show me how to fight whatever lurked in this darkness. I took a tentative step closer, willing the glow to return. Suddenly, the chanting reached a fever pitch, and a pair of glowing eyes emerged from the shadows. They were different from the creatures. These were smaller, filled with desperation rather than malice. I edged forward again, squinting to look past the glowing eyes.
I could just make out a silhouette. Another child. "Stay away!" I yelled, thinking it might somehow ward off whatever had drawn me into this nightmare. As if in response, the child stumbled into the light. It was a boy, his face drawn and smeared with dirt. He looked wild, his breath coming in short gasps as he scanned the darkness behind me. "They're coming!" he cried, clutching his head. "You have to run!" A renewed surge of terror shot through me. The creature was closing in. "What did you see?" I demanded, inching closer. He shook his head frantically, eyes wide with fright. "I don't want to get caught again," he begged, his voice cracking. "We were playing. There's a shadow that wants us. It takes us beneath the roots." Before I could ask more, the glow flickered out completely. Cold seeped into my bones. I wasn't sure what to do next. There was no escape, no guidance. I could feel the earth shift beneath my feet, pulsing with life and danger. Then I heard it again, the growl, only this time it was louder. I turned, feeling the heat of the creature's breath on my neck. "Run!" I yelled at the boy, pushing him ahead of me. The light was gone, but I had one option. If the shadows were after us and we were to live, then we would have to confront the darkness together. With that thought, I sprinted into the unknown, the boy at my side. But as we ran, I couldn't shake the feeling that something else was lurking, something more sinister than I had yet understood. I sprinted through the underbrush, adrenaline coursing through me like fire. The boy ran beside me, his footsteps echoing with urgency against the cacophony of growls and whispers that filled the night air. I barely glanced at him as we navigated around trees and fallen branches. My focus was solely on escape. "Where do we go?" I shouted over my shoulder, trying to maintain hope through the rising panic in his...
"Down!" he yelled back, pointing toward a narrow path that veered off from the main trail. It was overgrown, tangled with roots and leaves, but I had no time to hesitate. I darted forward, plunging into the thick brush, trusting his instincts over my own. The growl behind us escalated, relentless. It sent a shiver down my spine, urging me to push harder, faster. We twisted and turned through the dense foliage, the familiar scents of the forest now mingling with a dampness that felt almost alive. I could sense the darkness pulsing behind me, a malevolent force unwilling to relent. "Do you know where this leads?" I called out, my voice strained. "Just to the clearing. We have to reach the altar," he cried back, desperation coating his words. Alarms blared in my head. The altar? The very place that had drawn me into this nightmare? But as I soared over tangled roots, the weight of fear began to lift. The altar was the only place I'd felt a flicker of power, a hint of understanding amidst the chaos. If it was our salvation, I had to trust in it. We burst into a small clearing where the roots twisted around large stones, a half-formed circle stretching out before us. My heart sank as I recognized the symbol on the altar, glowing faintly, a beacon in this madness. If the creature was following, it wouldn't be long before it caught up with us. "Over here," I urged, sprinting toward the altar. The boy followed, breathless, and together we stood before the stone. As we reached it, the suffocating shadows seemed to recede, creating a small pocket of air around us. I pressed my hands against the cool surface, feeling the pulse of energy coursing through it. We have to unlock its power. It's our only chance. "What if it doesn't work?" he trembled, glancing nervously behind us. "We have to try." With that, I closed my eyes and focused on the symbol, drawing in a decisive breath. The glow intensified, illuminating every crevice of the clearing. When I opened my eyes, I noticed shadows edging near, twisting and curling like fingers in the dark. "Keep your eyes on it," I commanded, unwilling to let fear overtake me. I traced the symbol's lines again, the warmth spreading through my palms, sending shivers of hope coursing through me. Then I heard the growl, closer than ever. My heart raced. "What if it's not enough?" I muttered, the doubt creeping back in. "Just believe," the boy shouted, and somehow that reminder snapped something within me. I poured every ounce of willpower into the symbol, focusing on the energy radiating from it. In an instant, a blinding light erupted from the altar, enveloping us both. The air crackled with energy as shadows faltered and twisted away. I could barely see. The glow was so intense it seared my eyes. Moments later, the brightness swallowed the growl, drowning it in purity. I felt weightless, suspended. In time, as distant whispers echoed around us. Then, just as abruptly as it started, the light vanished, and I found myself back at the altar, panting. My surroundings seemed unchanged. The trees loomed large, shadows still lurking, but I felt different, stronger. The boy stared up at me with wide eyes. Then he knelt, pressing his hands against the altar as well. "I think it worked," he exclaimed, marveling at the flickering glow beneath our palms. Before I could answer, a shrieking roar pierced through the air, shaking the ground beneath us. The shadows twisted violently, now merging unfathomably into something even darker and more grotesque. It surged toward us, an amorphous curse formed from the fear and anger of countless lost souls. "No, the light!" I yelled, panic gripping me. "What do we do?" the boy squeaked, unable to tear his gaze from the converging darkness. I felt a surge of determination mixing with the energy flowing through the altar. "We channel it, use the symbol, we can push it back." Together we leaned into the altar, channeling everything we had. The light flared up, casting the inky shadows away. For a brief moment, I almost felt the figure of the creature, but it was splintered, scattered into echoes of its former self. I concentrated, willing the light to hold strong. But answers slipped through my fingers like sand. Could I save us and unclear the mystery at the same time? And then, amidst the chaos, I saw them. The children's faces emerged within the light, their masked forms slowly shifting, reflecting ancient wisdom and pain. They were not here to hurt us, they were trapped too. "Help them!" the words flowed from my lips, and instinctively I reached for the boy's hand, knowing he was part of this too. "We can't let them remain like this." For a fleeting second, the growl hesitated, and even the shadows paused, as if they recognized the truth. The boy nodded, his fear transforming into courage as he joined me. Together, we poured ourselves into the light. It swelled, wrapping around us, calling forth whatever essence the symbols harnessed. It was a unity of souls, something greater than the creature in the darkness. It surged forward, pushing against the looming figure, and I could feel it thrumming, a magnetic pulse of hope cascading over everything. But just as the darkness began to recede, the shadows twisted violently, wrapping around the altar, eager to snuff out the light. In that heart-wrenching moment, a question burned in my mind. Was this real? Were the children saved, or had we merely shifted the danger? As light and dark tangled in a mesmerizing dance, I caught glimpses of the unknown. Flashes of figures woven into the roots and echoes fluttering within shadows. And just like that, the darkness withdrew for an instant, but quickly retaliated, circling us, grasping at us like ethereal hands yearning to reclaim their hold. I tightened my grip on the boy, uncertainty flooding my veins. Suddenly, the ritual felt precarious, and I understood that what I sought to protect might also require sacrifice. The whispers bounced in my mind, intertwining with our heartbeat. Then the boy pulled at my arm, urgent. "We need to go, now!" Without a second thought, we released the light and tore through the trees once more, propelled by our choices and deeper questions. My heart raced as the forest's whispers chased us, each pulse quickening my urgency. I could still sense the darkness lurking close behind, taunting, waiting for the moment we faltered. As we crashed through the underbrush, the forest whispered its secrets around us, leaving echoes of uncertainty that trailed behind. Had we truly escaped, or had we drawn a thicker veil of shadows over our reality? Emerging from the forest, the air felt different, charged yet suffocating. The darkness faded behind us, but it lingered as a memory, filling the silence of the new day. In the distance, I saw the sunlight breaking over the horizon. But as we stood there, straddling the divide of the forest world and the sunlight, I marveled at the space we had left. I couldn't help but wonder, were the legends true? Had the darkness merely shifted, leaving uncertainties tethered to me? The forest secrets might have changed us, but I didn't believe they would remain buried. I realized we would always carry a piece of that world inside us, an indelible mark woven into our existence. As we walked back, uncertainty mingled with a sense of unshakable purpose, and I knew I would be both the ranger and the keeper of tales in this place, haunted, uncertain, but still defiantly alive.